Picture this, 36 ships a day, crawling through a narrow passage that connects two oceans. Now imagine that passage running dry. The Panama Canal, one of humanity's greatest engineering achievements, is facing its worst crisis in 110 years. Water levels at Gatun Lake hit near record lows, daily transit slashed from 38 to 24, and shipping costs up as much as 400% on some routes. While Panama scrambles to save its golden goose, four nations are betting hundreds of billions that they can steal a piece of the action. This is the story of the $270 billion race to replace the Panama Canal. Every year, roughly $270 billion worth of cargo squeezes through the Panama Canal's locks. That's about 5% of all global maritime trade funneling through a 50-mile stretch of Central America. For over a century, if you wanted to avoid sailing around South America, a journey that adds 12,000 kilometers, you had one option: Panama. Not anymore. Mexico is pumping $7.5 billion into a railway that's already moving cargo from ocean to ocean. Colombia wants to spend up to $13 billion connecting its coasts. Nicaragua dreams of a $50 billion mega-canal that would dwarf Panama's. Even Panama itself is hedging its bets with a rail and truck corridor. But here's what makes this race fascinating. It's not just about who builds the biggest or the fastest. It's about timing, geography, and whether any of these projects can actually deliver on their promises before climate change rewrites the rules entirely. Let's start with why this race exists at all. The Panama Canal opened in 1914 after the United States spent $375 million, that's $12 billion in today's money, and lost nearly 6,000 workers to disease, accidents, and exhaustion. Engineers had to figure out how to lift ships 26 meters above sea level using a series of locks, then lower them back down on the other side. For 110 years, it worked brilliantly. In a normal year, the canal handles around 14,000 transits annually and generates $4.9 billion in revenue. Panama built its entire economy around this waterway. Then came the drought of 2023-2024. Here's the problem nobody saw coming. The canal needs fresh water to operate. Every single ship that passes through requires 200 million liters of fresh water to fill and empty those locks. That water comes from Gatun Lake, which also supplies drinking water to half of Panama's population. When El Niño hit, Gatun Lake dropped to its lowest level in nearly 60 years. The Canal Authority had two choices: let ships wait for weeks or limit how many could pass through. They chose both. By early 2024, the wait time for non-booked vessels stretched to 21 days. Some shipping companies started sending their cargo 12,000 kilometers around South America rather than wait. Panama's response? A $1.6 billion plan to build the Rio Indio Reservoir, which won't be ready until 2030 at the earliest. They're testing desalination plants and studying a natural gas pipeline. The Canal Authority insists they'll weather this crisis. They even reported outstanding results for fiscal 2025. But their customers aren't waiting around to find out. 308 kilometers north of Panama, Mexico is resurrecting an old idea with new technology. The interoceanic corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, let's call it the CIIT, connects the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean using something decidedly low-tech: trains. The concept isn't new. Mexico has been moving cargo across the Isthmus of Tehuantepec since the 1900s. But what's happening now is different. This isn't just upgrading some old rail lines, it's a complete reimagining of how cargo moves between oceans. Here's how it works. Ships dock at Coatzacoalcos on the Gulf side. Massive cranes, upgraded with 55 billion pesos in federal investment, transfer containers onto trains. Those trains race across Mexico's narrowest point to Salina Cruz on the Pacific, where the containers get loaded onto different ships. Total distance, 308 kilometers. Total time, hours, not days. In March 2025, Mexico hit a milestone that made the shipping world pay attention: the first official interoceanic cargo transport. Not a test run. Real cargo, real customers, real money-changing hands. The numbers tell an interesting story. Mexico is spending $7.5 billion total on this project. By 2033, they plan to handle 1.4 million TEUs annually. That's 20-foot equivalent units, the standard measurement for shipping containers. They're building 12 industrial parks along the route. 5 are already operational. But here's what Mexico figured out that others haven't. You don't need to replace the Panama Canal to make money. Even capturing 2 to 4% of Panama's container traffic would make this railway profitable. And when Panama's canal gets congested, as it did frequently in 2023, Mexico's railway starts looking very attractive. The Mexican Navy and Foreign Ministry signed a pact in October 2025 to promote this corridor internationally. They're specifically targeting European and US companies who are already investing billions in Mexican manufacturing. The pitch is simple. Why ship through congested Panama when you can rail through Mexico in hours? Colombia's plan sounds straightforward enough. Build a 210-kilometer railway from Buenaventura on the Pacific to the interior, eventually connecting to Atlantic ports. The price tag, somewhere between $5.7 and $13 billion, suggests otherwise. This project is part of President Petro's massive $23 billion railway revival. The government wants to reactivate 1,800 kilometers of rail lines across the country. The Pacific Atlantic connection is the crown jewel, designed to move 25 million tons of cargo annually by the 2030s. As of November 2025, they're still in the feasibility phase. A $14 million technical study is underway, with bids closing late in the month. The route is split into two segments, each presenting unique challenges. The first challenge is environmental. The proposed route cuts through some of Colombia's most sensitive ecosystems. Indigenous and Afro-Colombian communities control much of this land. The government needs their approval, and that means extensive consultations that could take years. The second challenge is topographical. This isn't flat Mexican desert, it's mountainous jungle terrain that makes construction expensive and complicated. Some experts argue Colombia should focus on upgrading existing infrastructure rather than building through virgin territory. Then there's the financing question. Colombia is courting Chinese investment, which has the United States concerned. The project needs $50 billion total for all 6 planned mega projects. That's more than 3 times Colombia's entire annual infrastructure budget. The deadline looms large. President Petro's term ends in August 2026. If the project isn't substantially advanced by then, it could join the long list of Colombian infrastructure dreams that never materialized. Yet Colombia has one advantage: geography. It's the only South American country with coastlines on both oceans. If they can make this work, they wouldn't just compete with Panama, they'd offer something Panama can't: direct access to South American markets. Of all the Panama alternatives, Nicaragua's mega-canal is simultaneously the most ambitious and least likely to happen. The numbers alone boggle the mind: 278 kilometers long, 3 times the length of Panama's canal. Locks measuring 510 meters long, 77 meters wide, 27 meters deep, large enough to handle ships that don't even exist yet. The estimated cost? Between $50 and $80 billion. That's more than 3 times Nicaragua's entire GDP. This isn't Nicaragua's first attempt at a canal. The idea dates back to the 1800s, before Panama was even chosen. In 1913, the United States actually signed a treaty with Nicaragua for canal rights, then promptly ignored it in favor of Panama. The modern version started in 2013 when a mysterious Chinese businessman named Wang Jing showed up with promises of $50 billion in financing. His company, HKND, broke ground in 2014 with great fanfare. President Daniel Ortega called it Nicaragua's Great Dream. By 2021, Wang Jing had disappeared, his fortune evaporated, and HKND existed only on paper. The concession was revoked in May 2024. But Ortega won't let the dream die. In November 2024, at a China-Latin America summit, he floated a new route from Bluefields to Corinto. Chinese company CAMC Engineering showed interest in port work, but nobody's talking about the canal itself. The obstacles are staggering. The canal would bisect Lake Nicaragua, Central America's largest freshwater lake. Environmental scientists warn it could destroy one of the region's most important ecosystems. The route crosses active seismic zones and volcanic regions. Engineers estimate it would displace 30,000 families in a country of just 6 million people. Even if someone wrote a $50 billion check tomorrow, experts doubt it could be built. The engineering challenges make Panama look simple by comparison. The environmental permits alone could take a decade if they're granted at all. Yet Nicaragua keeps pushing. Why? because even the possibility of a canal gives them leverage. It attracts Chinese investment, it worries the United States, it keeps Nicaragua relevant in global discussions about trade routes. Is it a real project or geopolitical theater? Maybe both, maybe neither. What's certain is that Nicaragua will keep talking about this canal long after Mexico's trains are running and Colombia's railways are built. While these four major projects grab headlines, smaller players are making moves too. Honduras wants an interoceanic railway linking Amapala on the Pacific to Puerto Castilla on the Caribbean. They've signed trade agreements with China and El Salvador to make it happen. Even Panama is hedging its bets. Their proposed land bridge, a rail and truck corridor, would move up to 5 million containers annually by 2045 without using any water from Gatun Lake. It's Panama admitting what everyone else already knows. The canal alone isn't enough anymore. Then there's the wild card nobody saw coming, the Northwest Passage. Climate change is melting Arctic ice, opening a route that's 40% shorter than going through Panama. In 2023, 42 vessels made the complete transit. By 2040, it could be ice-free for months at a time. But here's what's really happening in this race. It's not about replacing the Panama Canal, it's about what comes next. Global shipping is changing. Ships are getting bigger, too big for Panama's expanded locks. Trade patterns are shifting from Asia-US to Asia-Latin America. Manufacturing is moving from China to Mexico, Vietnam, and India. Each change creates new winners and losers. Mexico understands this. Their railway isn't trying to handle supertankers. It's targeting specific cargo, automobiles, electronics, time-sensitive goods that value speed over volume. Colombia sees opportunity in regional integration. Their railway would connect Pacific ports to coffee regions, coal mines, and eventually Caribbean ports. It's about Colombian trade first, global trade second. Nicaragua, they're betting that eventually someone will need a bigger canal badly enough to pay for it. Let's be clear about something. The Panama Canal isn't going anywhere. Despite the crisis, they still moved $270 billion in cargo last year. They're still profitable. Net profits up 8% to $3.45 billion in 2024. The Rio India Reservoir project will add enough water for 36 daily transits, even in severe drought. But Panama's monopoly is over. Mexico's railway will be fully operational by 2027. They're already moving cargo today. When Panama gets congested, Mexico offers an alternative. That's not a threat to Panama's existence. It's a pressure release valve that might actually help both countries. Colombia's railway faces longer odds. The feasibility study won't finish until late 2025. Construction wouldn't start before 2027. Best case scenario, operational by 2035. That's a lot of time for things to go wrong, governments to change, funding to disappear. Nicaragua's mega-canal remains what it's always been, a dream in search of a dreamer with $50 billion. Every few years, someone new shows interest. Every time the same problems emerge. Too expensive, too destructive, too complicated. The real winner might be someone we haven't discussed, the shipping companies. More options mean more leverage. When Panama raises prices, they can threaten to use Mexico. When Mexico gets backed up, Colombia becomes attractive. Competition benefits everyone except the monopolist. The race to replace the Panama Canal isn't really about replacement, it's about resilience. Climate change isn't just threatening Panama's water supply, it's reshaping global trade routes, forcing us to rethink infrastructure we've taken for granted for a century. Mexico's trains are running, Colombia's plans are advancing, Nicaragua keeps dreaming, Panama is adapting. Each project represents a different bet on the future of global trade. The question isn't who wins this race, it's whether we're building the right infrastructure for the world that's coming. Because while these nations spend $270 billion fighting over today's trade routes, tomorrow's challenges, rising seas, extreme weather, shifting economies, are already knocking at the door. The Panama Canal took 10 years to build and has lasted 110. Whatever replaces or supplements it needs to last just as long. In that context, this isn't a race at all. It's a test of who understands the future best. Thanks for exploring these epic engineering showdowns with me, from colossal locks to high-speed rail networks pushing the limits of what's possible. Drop a comment on what unimaginable builds you want to see next and subscribe for more jaw-dropping dives into the world's boldest constructions. See you in the next one.